Up. Good, Dan. Push. Still there. Last one, Dan.
7 months ago, I decided to change my life. Not dramatically, but just change a few things in an achievable way to get myself back on track, to give myself the best chance at a long and healthy life. Why? Because I'd veered off that track. Over the 12 years since my career as a professional cyclist ended, I'd been drinking too much, exercising too little, consuming nicotine, and often burning the candle at both ends. I wouldn't say I was completely lost, I just needed to retrace my steps slightly to get back on the right path. And I think I've achieved that. But today I'll find out for sure, because I'm going to retake the health and fitness test that I did at the start of this journey. And I'll also let you all know what I'm planning on doing next.
Happy to get off, or do you want to keep sitting?
No, I'm happy to get off.
Good work.
I will start by quickly recapping what those tests were and how I performed back in April. At the time, I weighed 73.6 kilograms, which is 162 pounds or 11 stone 8. I had a blood and urine test, the results of which looked good, and then a Dexa scan, which gives you the most accurate body composition analysis out there. I had my waist measured as well, because that's a simple, cheap and easy way to predict health span, as well as my blood pressure and an ECG. I then went through a series of strength tests, including grip strength, which is another great predictor of longevity. And then last, but definitely not least, I performed a VO2 Max test, an excruciating ramp test in which the intensity gradually increases until you reach exhaustion. Somewhere, just before you faint, you'll record your VO2 max, which is the maximum amount of oxygen that your body can use. Again, this is seen as a key indicator of longevity. Since then, I've made a few key changes to my lifestyle. I've reduced my alcohol consumption from drinking heavily 4 to 5 nights a week down to 2, and through October and the start of November, I didn't drink alcohol at all. I've increased my protein intake and my total calorie intake in an effort to gain some muscle mass, and I tried to prioritise my sleep more and do a few things to make my sleep better. I've also given up nicotine twice. I'm currently 8 weeks without nicotine, but I'd say that was the change I found hardest. Probably the biggest change, though, was that I just started moving again on a regular basis. I mean, I have always done quite a lot of walks because we have dogs, but beyond that, my exercise regimen was, I'd say, sporadic, to say the least. So I started doing more running, some cycling, and I joined a gym. I'll be a bit more specific in what I've done from an exercise point of view. So I've totted up everything that I've logged on Strava since the start of April, and this is what I've done over the last 7 months. I have averaged just under 6 hours a month of running, or 1 hour 23 minutes per week. That's been a total of 514 kilometres over 75 runs, so an average of 2.5 runs per week. Since joining a gym at the start of May, I've averaged just over 3.5 sessions per week, with an average of 52.5 minutes per session. That's a little over 3 hours per week, solely focused on strength and resistance training. I don't do any cardio in the gym. I've done a little bit of riding, but I haven't fallen back in love with the bike in the way that I'd hoped. In total, I've done 900 kilometres, but that works out at only 4 rides per month and not quite a ride per week. Average duration per ride was 1 hour and 20 minutes. And finally, walking. I do a lot of walking with my dog. So over the 7 months, I recorded 560 kilometres of walks, so just under 20 Ks a week. That worked out at almost 14 hours a month, or 3.25 hours per week, almost all quite brisk walking and off-road. That doesn't cover all my walking, obviously. I mean, there have been times where I've got up in the middle of the night and walked to and from the toilet and not uploaded to Strava. Did those wheeze even happen? Who knows? So, in total, I've done 255 hours of exercise in 7 months, which is 36 hours per month, 8.5 hours per week, or 1 hour and 11 per day. Without the walking though, it's 157 hours total, 22.5 hours per month, 5.25 hours per week, or 45 minutes per day on average. So a fair bit, but at the same time, very achievable given my current circumstances. The question is, has that exercise, have those changes had much of an effect? Today is the day that I will find out. I'm back in Manchester and heading to the Nuffield Institute of Health and Performance to meet with Connor, who many of you will remember from the first episode of this series. He's going to be putting me through the same series of tests and hopefully telling me some results that I can be proud of. I'm nervous, genuinely. I really want there to be some improvements, firstly for my own satisfaction, but mainly to show what can be achieved in just over half a year.
So for the scan, your head's going to be up that way, your legs are going to be down here. Try and get that white line to split your body in half, and then just mind your head on the way down.
As a reminder, a Dexa scan gives you an advanced and very accurate breakdown of your body composition. It uses low-dose X-rays to measure bone density, fat mass, and lean mass. My results from April were okay, but obviously I'm hoping to see some improvement.
That's all you. So you can get completely dressed.
Thank you.
I'm going to interrupt the test just there because I've had some time to digest the Dexa scan numbers and I wanted to give some early context to the results. So in 7 months, I have lost 1.76 kilograms of fat, which is just under 4 pounds. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in animal fat. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of fat off a body that didn't appear to have much fat to lose. Overall though, I've gained weight. Back in April, I was 73.9 kilograms. In the test I've just done, I was 76.2, which means that I've accomplished my goal of putting on some muscle mass. And I'll show you how much using some meat. I put on a total of 4 kilograms of muscle, which is that plus this separate piece. I'll explain why that's here a little bit later on. That is just under 9 pounds incidentally, and I'm really pleased with that. Not just because I think I look better for it, but because muscle mass is a crucial part of longevity. We will all lose muscle as we age unless we do something about it. Now, I also want to show you what those losses and gains look like per month. So, I come over here, I've lost an average of 250 grams of fat each month. I'm just going to weigh it out. So that looks like that, 248 grams. And I've gained 570 grams of muscle, which is this separate piece here, on average each month. Now, the reason I wanted to represent it like this is to emphasize the importance of consistency over time. At the end of a month of changing your lifestyle, you might not be able to see any significant changes. They will be there, you will be starting to change, but you might not be able to see those changes in a mirror or on the scales, because by volume, muscle weighs far more than fat. So don't be despondent if you don't see big changes very quickly. Just stick with the plan. And I think that is particularly important as we come towards a new year and therefore people making New Year's resolutions. I sincerely hope that what I've achieved here motivates some of you out there to make some changes that you're confident you can maintain for the long term. Because long term, you can completely change yourself into someone unrecognizable. And I mean that from both a health and an appearance point of view. Right, back to the tests.
That's 58.6, good. So stand nice and still. We can make a start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go down. Pull, 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 pull. Up, 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 up. Pull, 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 pull. And rest. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Drive, 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 drive. Up, 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 up. Good down. Push, 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 push. Go on and relax. We'll have a 60-second break after that, and then it's 5 reps, all out max, hard as you possibly can. Max effort, kick, up, and pull. Good start, one down, push. Still there. Last one down, max effort, come on. Drive, yes, pull. Still there, one down, drive.
I mean, the good thing with all these strength tests is they're all short. Another interlude, just before we move on to the most painful of the test, the VO2 Max. I want to say a huge thank you to Whoop, who sponsored the first episode and the final episode in this series. It was genuinely the data from this small strap on my wrist that truly made me aware of what I was doing to myself with consistent heavy drinking and nicotine consumption, along with a lack of exercise. The difference for me, and it seems to be the same for most people, between consuming alcohol and not, is massive. If you don't see it with your own eyes, you won't believe it. And it's not that you tell the app what you've drunk and that it takes that into account before it gives you a readout. It gives you your readouts without knowing. Your body tells the Whoop how it's feeling, and the Whoop then communicates that to you in data form. Anyway, beyond helping me personally, it's partners like Whoop that allow us at GCN to make such a huge amount of free-to-view content. So thank you to them. Right, time for some pain.
Bit of a warm-up just to get you up to cadence. We normally ask you to hold a cadence around 85 to 90, but whatever's kind of comfortable for you.
Yep.
Put the wattage up by 5 every 15 seconds, which means you clear 20 watts every minute. And we'll just keep going until exhaustion, until you can't go anymore.
Yep. VO2 max is the maximum rate at which someone can utilize oxygen. The more oxygen your body can consume or use during very high intensity exercise, the higher your VO2 max. There is a very strong correlation between VO2 max and lifespan, and so I'm hoping that my efforts over the past few months have reversed the fairly drastic downward trend that I've seen in my VO2 max over the past decade. Why is it so painful? Well, to accurately test it, you need to steadily ramp up the intensity of exercise until you reach exhaustion. Here goes.
Looking good. 3, 2, 1, that's 9 minutes. 300 watts now. Cadence is still holding nicely. That's 10 minutes down, really good. You can see it's getting tough, but that cadence is still holding, so just really dig in. Anyway, just take it minute by minute now. 30 seconds left of this stage. Try and get to the end. 12 minutes. Try and hang in there as long as you can. Dan, that cadence is starting to drop slightly. Can we get it back up? Last little push, mate. Come on. Push. Let me let mask off here. You okay? Really good work. Well done. Happy to get off, or do you want to keep spinning?
No, I'm happy to get off.
Good work.
Cheers. With all the tests completed, it was time to get a rundown of the all-important results. Am I stronger? Am I fitter? And if so, by how much? Connor had been keeping me in suspense. Connor actually hasn't told me my VO2 max scores just yet. He's keeping it for on camera. So I'm going to hastily go down to what they were. 54.8.
Yep, so improvement in your relative VO2 max. And then you can see your absolute has improved as well to 4.12. So your relative VO2 max has improved by just less than 5%. And your absolute VO2 max is improved by around 7%. So
oh, great, I'm pleased with that. Explain the difference to the public. The absolute takes out the weight part of the equation because VO2 max normally millilitres of oxygen per kilogram per minute.
Yeah, expressed in relative terms. And then if you take out the kilogram element, you can just look at the absolute VO2 max. The thing is, depending on people's size, weight, etc., their absolute values might be completely different, which makes it not very comparable for like normative values.
I am looking at a couple of red numbers here on the right.
Yeah.
Which ones were they?
They're your strength parameters, specifically on the IKD, the isokinetic dynamometer, looking at your
leg extension and hamstring.
Yeah. One thing I would say is don't be too alarmed about those bright reds. First of all, you had pretty good scores back in March anyway, so you're already pretty strong. And then these values here are also expressed as a percentage of your body weight. So the fact that you've increased your kilos a few more, it just means that that muscle mass you've put on isn't quite yet being translated into like functional strength, which is absolutely fine. And then when we look at grip strength, they've actually gone up by quite a bit. Your right and left arm have got quite a bit stronger.
And that's probably representative of me having done more upper body stuff at the gym. So, good news on my strength and fitness, but I still needed to get the results of my blood and urine test. For that, I went to Nuffield HQ in London to speak to Dr. Davina Denischik, their charity and medical director. So, looking at the Dexa scan and the body composition, I've obviously been given the good news already, and I'm very pleased with the results. But in terms of the amount of fat that I lost, does the Dexa scan tell me how much was subcutaneous fat, I think you call it, and then the visceral fat, which is what sits around your organs?
It does. It breaks down the Dexa scan between the visceral and the subcutaneous fat. And what we tend to see in people is that you will fill up your subcutaneous fat first to the level that's personal to you, and then your visceral fat part is your overflow. So once you're fat on the outside, you'll then start to put it on the inside. And everybody's got a different level of their fat on the outside. And that's why you see different body shapes and you don't quite know what's happening in the middle in your visceral fat. Now, you were quite lean, so you naturally will put things down into your subcutaneous area before it goes into your visceral area. You've got a really nice content for your subcutaneous. But you did have about 450 grams of fat sitting in the inside, laying down on the liver, pressing on the organs, which for a lean person is not a lot in there, but it's still going to be having an effect. Yeah. And you've lost about 6% of that overall.
Okay, so 1% per month. keep going on that trajectory.
I can't say it was that trajectory. I don't know when it happened, but that's the result.
Yeah. How far off do you think I am from winning some national level bodybuilding competitions at this point?
Quite far.
Oh, quite. Give me some confidence, yeah. So moving on from the Dexa scan body composition results.
Let's start with grip strength, first of all. So grip strength is interesting because we always think, oh, I'm strong, therefore my grip strength is going to be great. The research actually shows that grip strength is a really good indicator of actually just overall health and future risk of poor health. So it's something we use in certain populations to engage them into thinking about health and strength in general. So it's not just about how strong you are, it's how the body is working from a physiological point of view. And then obviously there's the targeted strength that you're talking about, like your leg strength. We can do exercises and weights to improve our strength, but the nutritional background is really important too. So if you're eating right, you've got to be eating the right levels of protein for you in terms of the calorie needs you've got in terms of moving forward to improve that strength.
And then finally, the ones I haven't seen at all yet is the blood tests. Again, I believe they weren't in a particularly bad place when I did them back in March. Have there been any changes whatsoever?
Where you started, they were pretty good. So we looked at your bone marrow, first of all. That's all your blood cells. Red blood cells, white blood cells are the main types of blood made by bone marrow. The other thing we looked at, I think is the interesting one, is your lipid profile, your cholesterol profile. And when we test that, we're looking at total cholesterol, then a breakdown of good stuff and the bad stuff. Some cholesterol is good for us. HDL cholesterol, that's the good stuff. I call it as kind of the vessel road sweeper. Comes in, mops things up, stops you having blockages, and therefore it's the good cholesterol, happy cholesterol. The other type of cholesterol though, that is the bad stuff. Generally made up of LDL, low density lipoprotein cholesterol, and triglycerides. Both of those together against your ratio of high cholesterol is your cholesterol ratio that predicts your risk of future heart attacks and strokes. Now, when we started, you were in a really good place in terms of your overall lipid profile. There was nothing on there that abnormal. But as we've retested and we move to the end of the results this time, actually what we've seen is a really nice reduction in your total cholesterol, and that has been driven by a reduction in your triglycerides, but also your LDL cholesterol, your bad cholesterol. So you've got a really nice change in your body composition, which has rebalanced out in your cholesterol profile.
Great. Well, thank you very much again, Davina, for your time. I appreciate it.
No worries. Lovely to meet you.
Mission accomplished. I would say. In that I have successfully made some positive changes to my lifestyle, successfully cut out some unhealthy habits, and the benefits are already evident. However, this mission never had a finish line. I've never looked at these tests as the end goal. They were always going to be an affirmation that things are going in the right direction. I've changed my habits in a way that I feel I can sustain for a really long time, in a way that doesn't feel like I'm living like a monk, in a way that doesn't make me feel like I'm sacrificing any of life's enjoyment. And I would like to say, I'm really bloody proud of myself. I mean, I don't generally like to blow my own trumpet, but I'm genuinely proud of what I've achieved and how I've turned things around. I am back on the right track now, and that feels good. I feel healthier, and I prefer what I see in the mirror. And just to be clear, and you probably won't believe this, but no steroids were used in the making of these pecs. They're entirely natural. Told you, you wouldn't believe it. What I'm most pleased and surprised about, though, is how much this journey has resonated with so many of you. I was going to make changes to my lifestyle whether I documented them or not. I wasn't sure how well it would go down because, well, it's not really cycling related and we're a cycling specific channel. But I've been blown away by all the comments and messages I've received over the past few months. Now, in episode 1, I encouraged you all to join in with me. And I really hope that those of you who did have also seen positive results. Please do let me know how you've been getting on. I'm going to be reading every single comment that's left underneath this video. On the other hand, if you're watching this and it spurred you on to do something similar, you can see more details as to exactly what I've been doing these past few months by watching the previous videos in this series. We'll put links to them in the description down below. Plus, you can also look at my Strava account where I've logged all the exercise I've done. Just search for Daniel Lloyd over there. There are a couple of things that I would like to emphasise to those of you who are considering making similar changes to your own lifestyle. Firstly, that similar results should be achievable even if you don't have a background in professional sport like I do. In fact, you might see much bigger losses in fat and bigger gains in muscle mass, VO2 max and other health parameters because you're currently further away from your own limits. Secondly, you don't need to spend loads of money on baseline health tests. For example, if used correctly, fat calipers, which are very affordable, can give an accurate fat percentage reading. Any strength gains in the gym can be measured simply by looking at how much weight you're able to move, and any fitness gains can be monitored by looking at the power or speed at which you're cycling or running for a certain heart rate. As I've said throughout this series though, everyone's circumstances are different. Some have more disposable income than others, some have more time constraints, some have more responsibilities, etc., etc. So I don't want to sit here and say, look, this is what you can all achieve. However, I do hope it shows what can be achieved if you can make the time and you do have the motivation and desire. Thirdly, I've done this all publicly, and I've had a lot of people say that they thought it was in some ways brave and courageous to do it like that. But I feel it's helped me doing it that way. I've always known that lots of people would see my end results, and that's made it easier to get out and run or ride or go to the gym if I was lacking a bit of motivation to get out the door. And on that point, I think it's probably not a bad idea to tell a couple of your close friends of your own plans. That way, if you don't stick to those plans, it's not just yourself that you're answering to. Now, I promised I would let you know what's next. What's next for me is more of the same. I will continue to try and do some sort of exercise on most days. I'll continue to try and get stronger. I'll continue to eat healthily, to consume enough protein, and I'll try not to slip back into excessive regular drinking and using nicotine. I might also find a couple of events to use my newfound fitness and motivation at as well. And I would also like to start working on improving my flexibility, as that's likely to get worse as I age as well. My big goal, though, is to reduce my time on this. I am a proper smartphone addict and it's really not good. All right, could I please ask you all a favour before I finish? Sharing this video with people you think would enjoy it and or benefit from it would make a massive difference to us, as would clicking on the thumbs up button if you thought it was a good content. And if you've really enjoyed it, there is now the option, nothing obligatory of course, to give us a super thanks. You can find an icon for that just below this video if you scroll across the icons. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. That brings me to the end of this series. However, if you'd like me to continue in any way, shape or form, let me know. What else would you like to see or learn about when it comes to health and longevity? Just let me know in the comment section below. Bye for now.
Can you make your pecs dance?
Pecs dance? No, they've got about as much rhythm as the rest of me.